Blair, thank you so much for sitting and chatting with me.
My pleasure.
What an exciting premiere you have coming
I
up
know,
this week.
isn't it good?
It is so good. There's
I know.
so much to get your head wrapped around.
The writing is I mean, I thought the writing was really splendid last year, but this year it's more intense, more dramatic, more outrageous, funnier, even, you know, with all that goes on with Walter and Peter and you know, Astrid. Yeah, it's good stuff. Good stuff.
Really good stuff. So before you started Fringe, did you read up on Fringe science a little bit to get prepared?
You know what? I knew about Fringe science because I did the movie that kind of was the seed for JJ coming up with this, which is called Altered States, that Patty Chayefsky wrote. Bill Hurt and I did, and we did the isolation tanks like Olivia didn't. And so I was already working on Carlos Castaneda and that notion of parallel universes. So it's been something that always seemed true to me and appealed to me. I'm not a sci-fi person, but I'm a sci person. So this was right up my alley.
Yeah. Is there a particular phenomenon that interests you the most out of everything you've learned about?
You know what? Kirlian photography and all of that, and reading auras and that whole idea. The way I had a friend who clearly had psychic abilities. She just did. You couldn't deny that she did. And I had a couple of experiences with her. That to me was extraordinary. Just extraordinary, inexplicable.
It is, but it's undeniable, like you say, when you see it for real.
Yeah.
Do you have a preference between serialized and procedural?
You know, I like serialized. I'm not much of a procedural person myself. I like getting, I like being part of watching and also being part of a long narrative. I like characters that hook into each other. I think one of the beauties of this year is that you see that the relationships, because they're all pretty mysterious, are starting to become more complex but more intense. People are kind of hooking into each other in different ways. So that interests me more than just how something is done.
So will there be more kind of about the background mythology than kind of the case of the week this season?
You know what? I think they're working with double engines. I think there are two engines working all the time because what happens in the cases that they deal with affect them as people. What happens to them as people affect the cases and what they know and how they deal with them. And then, of course, what's happening with Massive Dynamic and the fact that Fringe is going a little more rogue. So we're going more into the belly of the beast in a lot of ways. And I think in that way, too, it's diving into the characters in the same way.
Well, there is something very surprising that happens with your character in this first premiere. And
I know.
I was wondering, where do you think that connection comes from? Is it something we're going to learn more about as the season goes along?
It's interesting. I think, you know, one of the beauties of playing this script, I'm not an actor who has asked the writers, you know, what's going on and what's going to happen and where to happen and what happened back here. I like being surprised in the same way that the audience is. And I like the task of playing the possibilities of anything. So last year, a lot, Lance Reddick and I played Boyles, would talk about, you know, I wonder what the story, we just make things up. We just make things as complicated as we could. And then, of course, it just paid off because all of a sudden here's this little surprise. And will history repeat itself? We don't know. What was the history that led us there? We don't know.
Yeah, you wonder.
It's just fascinating. It's so fun.
It was smoking between them two in an alternate universe.
Exactly. Yeah, because if we do have clones, what are they up to? What are they doing right now?
Are they living a happy domestic life in an alternate universe?
Exactly.
I would like to see Philip and Nina's domestic life.
I'm very curious to see.
It would be very curious.
That's right.
Other than your interest in Fringe science, and what connects you to your role of Nina on Fringe?
I like the ambiguity of Nina. I like the fact that we don't know if she's a force for good or evil. I like the complexity of that. Again, I like the dealing with the other characters. You know, is she trustworthy? Is she not trustworthy? It's fun to play with each other in that way. So that's the real draw for me to Nina. And I love all the bionic bits. Come on, a Teflar inside, a bionic arm. I mean, what's not to like?
Do you have a prosthetic for the bionic arm, or is it in post-production?
It's a green screen on my arm. My arm is painted green with a grid on it, and then it can do anything. Cool.
That's very bionic in its own right.
I know.
Fact and fiction.
No one was more surprised than I was that I had a Teflar inside. All I knew is I got shot, and I thought, I'm off the show. What happened? Was it something I said? They said, you're fine. You're fine. You have a Teflar abdomen. It's like, of course.
Of course I do.
Yes, I've been playing that.